You can't just cut off access to the lake. These permits are invalid.
We are enforcing the bylaws as approved. The fence is staying up, regardless of your complaints.
Blue strobes cut through the fog as I stepped onto my deck, coffee steam snaking into the cold air. Down on the shore, 2 men in reflective vests were bolting a steel fence panel into the wet sand like it was a Tuesday chore. The smell of damp leaves and hot metal mixed in my nose. A fresh HOA notice flapped on a stake. Path closed by order of safety committee. It was 6:12 a.m. I heard Geese, then Karen's voice from the path, loud and sugar-sweet, telling the workers to make it tight so no one could squeeze through. I stood there barefoot, toes numb, looking at a padlock where the lake used to open like a door. Here's the thing. Karen fenced a path across my lake shore. Then I pulled the Riparian rights. That's the fight. This wasn't a cute garden fence. It sliced the public footpath that curved along my lot since before I was born. The date stamped on the notice was May 3rd, 2024, and the fine listed for anyone using the path was $100 per person per day. She called it safety. I called it a land grab dressed in neon zip ties. I walked down to talk, palms up, voice soft. She smirked and told me to take it up with the board. The padlock clicked. My stomach did the same. I tried. I emailed the board at 9:00 p.m. that night. I walked into the clubhouse, the one that always smells like burned coffee and new carpet, and asked for an emergency meeting. Neighbors looked away. One whispered, "Don't push her. She writes the fines." The president gave me 2 minutes and then stared at his phone. The security camera over the door blinked like a metronome. That week, someone made a false trespass call when I walked near the fence to water my dog. Timeline item 1, April 5, at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. She told everyone I had threatened to volunteer. I hadn't. The officer shrugged, said it was messy, but civil, and left me standing by the humming ice machine. So I drew a line. No yelling. No cutting locks. No stupid moves for a 30-second win. I promised myself I'd use proper channels and make it stick. I pulled the plat maps, tax parcels, and the covenants that everyone pretends to read. I filed a public records request with the county for the original shoreline easement and any amendments since 1979. 2 weeks later, the file landed with 63 pages. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I flagged a line in the subdivision rules where someone in 2001 tried the same trick and got reversed by the council. Here's the law line that mattered. Riparian rights mean the shoreline cannot be fenced off to block lawful access. And because Karen had used 4 a.m. calls like confetti, I added another plain line for the board to chew on. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. I built the trap in daylight. I sent Karen a cheerful RSVP to her own event, the HOA Spring Walk on June 14th, 2024, which she billed as a fundraiser with $5 lemonade. I copied the city inspector, the county surveyor, and the police community officer on the same thread, attaching my binder index and the easement maps. Polite, dry, deadly. When the day came, the path was full of neighbors in ball caps and sandals. Phones out, Karen arrived in a visor and a megaphone. She announced the route, then faced the padlocked fence like a queen unveiling a statue. The inspector cleared his throat. He pointed to the iron pin hidden in the grass, and then to the survey line that ran right through the fence. He asked for the permit number. Karen said it was an HOA decision. He said that wasn't a permit. The county surveyor unrolled a bright tape, and the police officer asked me to stand back as they snipped a zip tie to examine the post footings. People gasped when the inspector slapped a red notice of violation onto the panel. It turned fast. The board president stepped away to take a call and came back gray. A neighbor on a paddleboard drifted by, filming. Someone muttered, "That's going on next door in 5 minutes." Kids laughed when the inspector tugged the fence and the whole thing wobbled like a cheap gate at a petting zoo. My binder sat open on a card table. I watched thumbs fly. Comment stacked. 8 complaints this month and she blocks the beach. Another wrote, "She tried to charge my dad $50 to watch the sunset." Karen tried to start a speech about safety. The surveyor pointed to my printed email from May 6th, 2024 at 7:13 a.m., where she asked the board to lock down the path so non-members stop fishing. The officer's eyes narrowed at that. The crowd made a low "oh" sound that felt like thunder. The authority flip was clean. The inspector wrote 2 citations, one for unpermitted construction in a public easement, and one for failure to maintain safe shoreline access. Total fines that day were $2,300, payable within 30 days. The officer took a statement about the false trespass calls. He read from my timeline and nodded. He told Karen and the board, plain as rain, that records showed 4 calls with no findings. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. The city council clerk, who showed up because my email had included the old 2001 reversal, handed Karen a hearing date. The board president, voice quiet now, moved to suspend Karen as chair pending review. The motion carried with 5 votes. Her megaphone hung at her side like a toy no one wanted. By July, the fence was gone. A crew hauled off the panels on a bright morning, gulls circling like they were curious, too. The board sent a letter admitting the mistake and agreeing to post the easement map online. Karen had to reimburse the HOA for the fines and pay for the restoration of the dune grass she'd stomped. She lost her seat and her favorite perk, which was running the newsletter like a personal diary. Peace slid back like a canoe on calm water. Kids fish off the rocks again. I waved to the older couple from lot 12 when they walk past with their dog at 7:10 p.m. We smile. The air smells like cedar and supper. I pour coffee for the neighbor who used to look away, and we laugh about the red tag in the wobbly fence. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.